Hi, class. We are going to do the first lesson in chapter 10 today. So you might be surprised at the picture that you see. This is Tim and I a long, long time ago when we were first getting married. So we are on page 122 in the white book, and you'll see that when you look at those pictures, there are some other people that are having some celebrations. So this chapter is going to compare different customs from different places, and we're going to look at the ways that people celebrate in different countries and what different customs that they have for celebrating. So it says at the top of page 123 that one of the goals is to compare celebration customs. So I thought I'd share with you some of the pictures and talk about that just a little bit. And I would love it if you would share with me some of your customs. If we were together in class, we'd be having a big conversation about that. Yeah, so this was a long time ago when Tim and I got married. So you've probably been to weddings in the United States, but back when we got married, this was the tradition, but before I went down the aisle, I would have this veil covering my face. So this is tradition. One of the traditions that we have is that the father of the bride walks the bride down the aisle. So this was my father. He doesn't look very happy, but he really was not so sad. But he does this walk down the aisle to the front of the church with the bride. And the idea is that the father gives the bride to the groom. So that's like his giving permission for the girl to get married to that man. So here's a jump to Tim, and he's about to walk our daughter down the aisle. So that's our daughter, Sarah, the one that lives in Dallas. And there they are down in the front of the church. There's Tim and Sarah. And then this is another custom that we have in our country, is that both the groom, this is the groom, his name is Steve, and this is the bride, Sarah. And beside each of them, they are supposed to have these special people. You can't see one of them, but they're called the best man and the maid of honor. So this is Sarah's sister, Michelle. She was the maid of honor. I think this next picture shows it. But this is actually where Tim was giving his daughter to the groom so that they could get married. But these are the two special people. This is the best man, they call him. Like, they do all the things to make sure the wedding goes smoothly. And they take care of all the details for the groom. It's the groom. And this is the maid of honor. This is Sarah's sister. You can see that they're twins, right? And she takes care of all the details for the bride. And then they each have other important people in the wedding too. All right, whoops. So before we do our reading, let's move this out of the way. Let's go over some words. And even before that, I want you to take a look at some of the pictures, at the two pictures that you see on page 122. So I want you to look at the pictures. This is what we always do before we do the listening section, right? So look at the pictures, think about what you see, what's happening in those pictures. Just soak up all the details from the pictures. And then these are going to be the goals to talk about celebration customs. In this chapter, we'll read a recipe, and you'll be writing about your favorite holiday. Okay, so if you don't have your book, here are the pictures. If you do have your book, you can look at it up close on page 122. So it's two different things are happening, right? It's quite different from the top picture and the bottom picture. It definitely looks like two different cultures. Maybe this bottom picture is like what I just showed you. You see a bride and a groom. They look like they've already finished the wedding in the bottom. Maybe they are leaving and people are saying goodbye and they are wishing them well. And they are throwing something. In the top picture, what do you see? And what country do you think that they are from? Maybe from China, Vietnam. They're at a table. And maybe this is the bride. She does not look the same as a bride in an American custom. What does a bride wear in your country? And maybe this is the groom. Maybe this is a wedding. We will have to listen and find out. And then who are these men and what are these envelopes, do you think? Do you have an idea about that? Maybe this man is the father? I don't know. Maybe you can make some guesses about this. Okay, so before we read or before we listen, let's go through some new vocabulary for you. You will hear these words as you listen. This time we're going to listen to them do it. I'm not going to read it. Okay, I'll let you listen to it. You can play it back and listen to it as many times as you want. Okay, so one word that you will hear is this word, acquaintance. Acquaintance. Okay, acquaintance, that's a noun. Okay, an acquaintance is a person, and this is a person that you know just a little bit. This is not a close friend. You just know them a little bit. Maybe they are a friend of your family, maybe your mom's friend or your dad's friend, someone that you know, but they're not a good friend. Okay, so you say this, acquaintance, acquaintance. Oh, that person is an acquaintance of mine. You might say that. The next word is fortune. Fortune. Okay, so if you want to wish someone a good fortune, it's like wishing a blessing on someone or hoping that they have a good future, that they have good luck. You are wishing them happiness, maybe even wealth. They have good fortune. Maybe they have everything that they need for the future. Wealth can mean many things, not just money. That they have good health and children, that they have all the things that they need. The next word is reception. Reception. So here the C sounds like an S, reception. So a reception is a party to celebrate and to honor someone. So for example, after a wedding, you have a party. They honor the bride and the groom. So it's called a wedding reception. If we had your graduation, if things were normal and we didn't have to be at home because of coronavirus, if it was like last year, we would have graduation and then we would have a big party with cake and we would have food, we would eat and we would say, congratulations, we are so proud of you for finishing this year, for studying hard. We would have a big party. Your family would come. If you remember from last year, that's a reception. It's a graduation reception. Sometimes they have graduation receptions if you have a child that graduates from high school or from university, you have a big reception. Okay, this next word is symbolize. Symbolize. So we may have already done the word symbol, okay? Like a heart is a symbol for love, maybe, okay? So to symbolize is the verb form of that. So we say a heart symbolizes love. So to symbolize is the verb form. It means to show the meaning of something. So when we talk about different customs in different parts of the world, different cultures, we find out that different things have different meaning in different places. Like the culture, the way they do things in your country is probably different than America, right? So when we do certain things, it has a meaning and it symbolizes something different. When you do something, maybe I don't understand. So you have to explain, oh, we do this because in our country, it means this. So we would say, oh, in your country, that symbolizes this, right? So you will hear the word symbolize in the story. Okay, the next word is courses, or singular for that, just one, is course. So when you are having a big meal, sometimes there are many parts to the meal. Okay, so maybe the first part, they have just some small things that you eat. We call those appetizers in America. Maybe we just eat some small little things, little snack things. Maybe then we have salad. Maybe then we have salad or soup. And then maybe then we have the meat. And then we have dessert. So each of those is a course, okay? Those are different courses. So a course is one part of the meal, like the salad, the dessert, okay? So sometimes in different cultures, you might have many courses. So the meal takes a long time to eat if it's a very fancy meal. Okay, this next one is like a phrasal verb. I know you've heard this before. Looking forward to. So I can say, oh, I am looking forward to seeing you again in person. Okay? I will make the videos, it's fine, but I am really looking forward to seeing you again in person. So looking forward to means to feel happy and excited about something that is going to happen in the future, okay? So if I am looking forward to something, I feel happy about it. It's a phrasal verb. Okay, now register, this form of register, this is something different this is an American way, American things that Americans do. That is different, I think, than many other countries. When Americans are going to get married or before they have a baby, they go to a store and they register. This means that they make a list at the store of all the things the store has that they would like to be given as a gift. So instead of money for a gift, they make a list at the store and you can go online. You say they register at Target. You can go online and you can put in the person's name and it will show you, oh, they would like to have these things, these gifts. They would like these dishes. They would like these towels. They would like these things, okay? So some are small dishes, small gifts. Some are bigger gifts. You can also give money, but in our country, we register. It's just what we do. I think other countries, it's very common to just give money. This is also fine in our country, but to register for a gift is more common. And then sometimes they mail the gift to the bride and groom to where they will live. Tradition is the last word. It's a noun. So tradition is just the ideas or the habits. Maybe your parents did things a certain way, and so you watched how your family did it, and then you do the same thing, okay? So you saw in the wedding pictures, my father walked me down the aisle. And then when my daughter got married, Tim walked her down the aisle. So we do things the same way our parents did, then our children do this, and then it goes the same. It's a tradition. It's the way it goes each family, then they do it again, okay? Not always, but many, many times. It's the way that they do it, okay? Those are called traditions. This is an American tradition, or this is Burmese tradition, or this is a Greek tradition, okay? So I have many traditions from different cultures. All right. So now you can look over those, and I want you to get ready to listen to the story. And I'm going to push pause, I'm going to find it, and then I will play the story. I want you to listen, and when you are listening the first time, I want you to think, who are the speakers? What are they talking about? And then also, on the top of page 123, you will see, you are going to see this chart, right? In this chart, it says American customs, Vietnamese customs. So that couple must be from Vietnam. So they have different customs. So you can be thinking about these. There's American customs for gifts, for the way that they use rice, for the color of the dress, okay? So you can think about how to complete this chart. All right, so I will only play the conversation once, but you can listen to it through twice because you can just go back and rewind and listen to it again. Okay, now we'll play it.
Free time, page 123, exercises 2A and 2B.
Hi, Kathy. What are you doing this weekend?
Oh, Ton, I'm glad. I was invited to Bao and An's wedding. It's Saturday night, and I haven't bought them a gift yet.
So?
Well, I don't know what to get them. They aren't registered at any stores.
Registered? What's that?
Well, for many American weddings, the bride and groom sign up with a gift registry service at a store. They make a list of what they want, and then people can go to the store or the store's website and buy something on the couple's list.
I've never heard of that custom. At a Vietnamese wedding, guests just bring cash in an envelope.
Really?
Yeah. And during the reception, the bride and groom walk from table to table, greet the guests, and collect the envelopes. If I were you, I would just take an envelope.
Okay, thanks for the advice. I guess customs are really different across cultures, aren't they?
That's for sure. Do you know what really surprised me the first time I went to an American wedding?
No, what?
As the bride and groom were leaving the reception, the guests threw rice at them. What a waste of food! Where does that custom come from?
Oh, that's a really old tradition. Rice is a symbol of fertility and longevity. So throwing rice represents the hope that the couple will have children and live a long life together.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So, Tan, what else happens at a Vietnamese wedding?
Well, for one thing, it's traditional for a Vietnamese bride to wear a red dress.
Red? Not white like in this country?
That's right. In our culture, red symbolizes good fortune. In fact, one of the traditional foods at a Vietnamese wedding is red sticky rice.
Interesting. Let me ask you something else. My invitation was just for the wedding reception in the evening. What about the ceremony?
Well, traditionally, the ceremony takes place at the bride's home with just the family and close relatives. It's usually held in the morning. The reception in the evening is actually a huge party with all the couple's friends and acquaintances, lots of dancing, and lots of food. Be prepared for a 7 or 8 course dinner.
Wow. I guess I won't eat anything beforehand. So, will I see you at Bao and An's wedding?
I wish I could go, but I have to go to my nephew's graduation party. I hope you have a great time.
I hope so too. I'm really looking forward to it.
Page 123. Exercise 3A.
Kathy and Ton are talking.
Okay, so that was a lot to listen to. They talked pretty fast. So let's go back over some of what you heard. Okay, so they are from Vietnam, right? And they are from the United States. So they talked about American weddings and they talked about Vietnamese weddings, right? So it was Kathy and Ton. We're talking about wedding customs, right? Kathy and Ton were invited to a Vietnamese wedding. They were invited, and they said that in a Vietnamese wedding, it was very different than an American wedding. Here, when did the wedding happen? The wedding happened in the morning, remember that? And the reception happened at night, was a big party at night with lots of food, right? Many courses. It said 7 or 8 course dinner. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and have us listen to this one more time because this story had so much detail in it. And this time I want you to try to complete the chart. So I want you to listen specifically for the gifts. How were the gifts different? And listen for the use of rice. How was that different? And how was the dress color? How was that different? That you might be able to tell right from the picture, okay? So those things, how were those different? Then we'll come back and we'll look at the answers on those.
Unit 10. Free time. Page 123. Exercises 2A and 2B.
Hi, Kathy. What are you doing this weekend?
Oh, Ton, I'm glad you asked. I was invited to Bao and An's wedding. It's Saturday night, and I haven't bought them a gift yet.
So?
Well, I don't know what to get them. They aren't registered at any stores.
Registered? What's that?
Well, for many American weddings, the bride and groom sign up with a gift registry service at a store. They make a list of what they want, and then people can go to the store or the store's website and buy something on the couple's list.
I've never heard of that custom. At a Vietnamese wedding, guests just bring cash in an envelope.
Really?
Yeah. And during the reception, the bride and groom walk from table to table, greet the guests, and collect the envelopes.
Okay, so here I hope you heard what they said happens. So it said that he had never heard of what it meant to register. So it said, I've never heard of that custom of being registered. At a Vietnamese wedding, guests just bring cash in an envelope. So that was the Vietnamese custom. They just bring cash in an envelope. And he says, really? Yeah. And during the reception, the bride and the groom walk from table to table and greet the guests. That just means they say hello. And then they collect the envelopes. If I were you, I would just take an envelope. So that's probably what you see in the picture. You see the envelopes. They are collecting the envelopes. Maybe this is what happens in your country. Okay, so let's listen some more.
If I were you, I would just take an envelope.
Okay, thanks, Face. I guess customs are really different across cultures, aren't they?
That's for sure. Do you know what really surprised me the first time I went to an American wedding?
No, what?
As the bride and groom were leaving the reception, the guests threw rice at them. What a waste of food! Where does that custom come from?
Oh, that's a really old tradition. Rice is a symbol of fertility and longevity. So throwing rice represents the hope that the couple will have children and live a long life together.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So, Tan, what else happens at a Vietnamese wedding?
Well, for one thing, it's traditional for a Vietnamese bride to wear a red dress.
Red? Not white, like in this country?
That's right. In our culture, red symbolizes good fortune. In fact, one of the traditional foods at a Vietnamese wedding is red sticky rice.
Interesting. Let me ask you something else. My invitation was just for the wedding reception in the evening. What about the ceremony?
Well, traditionally, the ceremony takes place at the bride's home with just the family and close relatives. It's usually held in the morning. The reception in the evening is actually a huge party with all the couple's friends and acquaintances, lots of dancing, and lots of food. Be prepared for a 7 or 8 course dinner.
Wow. I guess I won't eat anything beforehand. So, will I see you at Bao and An's wedding?
I wish I could go, but I have to go to my nephew's graduation party. I hope you have a great time.
I hope so too.
After listening to it twice, I think you probably got those. So we said on number 1, American custom was to register in a store, but the Vietnamese custom was cash in an envelope. Okay, then there was rice. There was something with rice in both customs, right? So how did they use rice in American custom? So they said, when the bride and the groom are leaving, remember you saw in the picture on page 122, you see things in the air, they are throwing things. Okay, actually, I'm not sure that is rice, but it is tradition. They will give you like a little bag with some rice sometimes, and you throw the rice. This happened for my husband and I. They threw rice at us, okay? So they throw rice at the couple. And for Vietnamese customs, it's still something about rice, right? But the rice is not white rice. Now it is red sticky rice. And you don't throw it, you eat it. Okay, so they eat red sticky rice. Now, what color is the bride's dress in America? It is white. But what color is the dress, the Vietnamese bride's dress? It is red. Okay. All right, now down here we have a little bit more. They show you these words that we just went over. Okay, and some of this you will already know, I think, okay? So you read this, complete this story. So I want you to take a minute, and from what you already heard, I want you to read this about Kathy and Tan are talking about wedding customs. Kathy is invited to a Vietnamese wedding, and she is surprised that the bride and groom are not registered for gifts at any stores. In contrast, that means it's different, right? Tan is surprised by the American, of throwing rice at the bride and groom. What word would fit in there best? by the American something of throwing rice at the bride and groom. So pick the word that fits best. Next, they talk about clothes. And Tan says a Vietnamese bride wears a red dress because the color red, something, good, something. So you need a verb here. The color red, something, good, something. Okay, so think what words could fit there. Then Kathy asks why she was invited only to the wedding something. Here, wedding is used as an adjective. She's only invited to the wedding something and not to the ceremony. What was she invited to? Tan explains that traditionally the ceremony is only for the family. This is for the Vietnamese, okay, for that culture. The couple's friends and something are invited to the evening reception. In fact, Tan says the evening party will include 7 or 8 something of food. Kathy says she is something. This will be a phrase, okay? It's going to be a phrasal verb. She is something to the wedding. Okay, so take a minute. Try to figure out what words go best in there. And now I'm going to play it for you, and you can see if you got them right. If you didn't, that's okay. Just erase what you put there, and you can change it to the other word. And then you can practice reading it again through so that you see how it sounds with those words. See if you can understand why it was that way.
Page 123. Exercise 3A.
Kathy and thinking about wedding customs. Kathy is invited to a Vietnamese wedding, and she is surprised that the bride and groom are not registered for gifts at any stores. In contrast, Tan is surprised by the American tradition of throwing rice at the bride and groom. Next, they talk about clothes. Tan says a Vietnamese bride wears a red dress because the color red symbolizes good fortune. Then Kathy asks why she was invited only to the wedding reception, not the ceremony. Tan explains that traditionally the ceremony is only for the family. The couple's friends and acquaintances are invited to the evening reception. In fact, Tan says the evening party will include 7 or 8 courses of food. Kathy says she is looking forward to the wedding.
Unit 5, Test.
All right, so number 1 was registered. Number 2, tradition, the American tradition of throwing rice. Number 3, symbolizes. The color red symbolizes good fortune. Number 5, why she was invited to the wedding reception. Remember, reception's like the party that comes after. All right, number 6, the couple's friends and acquaintances. Acquaintances are people that you know, but they are not really your good friends. The couple's friends and acquaintances. Number 7, Tan says the evening party will include 7 or 8 courses of food. So big meal. And Kathy says she is looking forward to the wedding. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that. You can look over those vocabulary words. You can try using those and using them in sentences with someone that you know that you can speak English with. If you want to write me a sentence or two about your wedding or weddings in your culture, I would love that. And we will talk to you again very soon. All right. Bye.